Write a 1,500-word story of the Han Dynasty, 206 BCE to 220 CE. In the story, Enlil is hunting for the Anunnaki gold that was stolen by his brother Enki. The Anunnaki hired the Hans to find the gold and offered them that they would be allowed to keep the spoils they found from their invasions. The gold was never found. Eventually, the Anunnaki turned on the Hans and got them destroyed. The Empire of Gold, Enlil's Hunt and Rome's Fall. Prologue. The theft of heaven. Long before the rise of Rome, before the pyramids kissed the sky or the Sumerians etched cuneiform into clay, the earth was a colony, not of men, but of gods. The Anunnaki, celestial beings from the planet Nibiru, came to Earth in search of gold, a metal vital to their atmosphere and divine technology. They mined the Earth's crust, enslaved early hominids, and ruled as gods over Mesopotamia. Among them were two brothers, Enlil, the commander and enforcer of divine law, and Enki, the architect of life and master of secrets. Where Enlil was stern and unyielding, Enki was clever and compassionate. Their rivalry was ancient, but it reached its peak when Enki, disillusioned with the Anunnaki's exploitation of Earth, stole the sacred gold, not for himself, but to hide it from the heavens. He scattered it across the earth, embedding it in mountains, rivers, and even within the DNA of mankind. The gold was no longer a treasure, it was a legacy. Enlil was furious. But the High Council of Nibiru, weary of divine conflict, forbade him from waging war on his brother. Instead, they offered him a compromise: find the gold, and restore the balance. But Enki had vanished, and the earth was now ruled by mortals. In 27 BCE, as Augustus Caesar consolidated power and transformed the Roman Republic into an empire, a visitor arrived in secret. He was tall, radiant, and cloaked in robes that shimmered like the night sky. He called himself Lucius Enlilius, but in truth, he was Enlil in disguise. He offered Augustus a pact: the Anunnaki would grant Rome divine favor, military supremacy, and endless expansion, in exchange for one task: find the stolen gold of the gods. Augustus, ever the strategist, agreed. The Senate never knew the true reason behind Rome's sudden obsession with conquest. From the deserts of Egypt to the forests of Germania, from the icy cliffs of Britannia to the burning sands of Parthia, Rome marched, not just for glory, but for clues. The Anunnaki, hidden in orbit and cloaked in the upper atmosphere, watched and guided. They whispered to the Sibyls, encoded maps in the stars, and left artifacts buried beneath temples and aqueducts. Enki had hidden the gold in 12 vaults, each protected by riddles, traps, and guardians, some mechanical, others biological, and a few divine. In Alexandria, beneath the library, a vault was discovered by Roman scholars. It contained a sphere of orichalcum that sang when touched. But when opened, it released a gas that drove men mad. The vault was sealed again, and the incident blamed on a fire. In Germania, a legion vanished in the Teutoburg forest. Survivors spoke of a temple of black stone, guarded by wolves with eyes of fire. The gold was not found. In Judea, during the siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE, Titus uncovered a scroll in the Temple of Solomon. It spoke of a covenant of the sky lords and a map pointing to the ruins of Eridu, Enki's ancient city. But every time Rome came close, the gold slipped through their fingers. Enki's traps were too clever, his riddles too deep. And worse, the gold had changed. It was no longer just metal. It had become energy, knowledge, life. By the 3rd century CE, Rome was crumbling. Civil wars, plagues, and economic collapse weakened the empire. Enlil, now furious and desperate, descended again, this time as General Aelius Severus, a war hero who rose through the ranks with uncanny speed. He led a campaign into Mesopotamia, determined to find the final vault beneath the ruins of Eridu. There, he found a chamber of obsidian and starlight. But instead of gold, he found a message: "Brother, you seek what cannot be reclaimed. I gave it to the earth. It flows in rivers, it sleeps in mountains, it sings in the blood of men. You cannot take it back." Enlil screamed in rage. The gold had been transmuted, not hidden, but woven into the fabric of the world. It was in the iron of Roman swords, the ink of their scrolls, the blood of their emperors. Rome had been chasing a ghost. The Anunnaki Council, watching from above, grew impatient. Rome had failed. Worse, it had grown arrogant. The emperors now claimed divinity. They built temples to themselves, not the gods. They hoarded knowledge, enslaved the wise, and burned libraries. The Anunnaki decided, Rome must fall. They whispered to the Goths, the Vandals, the Huns. They gave them visions, weapons of strange design, and strategies no mortal could conceive. Rome's legions, once invincible, were shattered. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire fell. Officially, it was due to barbarian invasions and internal decay. But in truth, it was divine retribution. The Eastern Empire, Byzantium, survived. In 330 CE, Constantine had moved the capital to Constantinople, unknowingly building it atop the final vault, the heart of Enki's labyrinth. For over 1,000 years, the city thrived. Its walls were unbreachable, its scholars wise, its emperors cunning. The Anunnaki dared not destroy it, yet. In 1453, the Ottomans laid siege. As the walls fell, a tremor shook the city. Beneath the Hagia Sophia, the final vault opened. A guardian awoke, a being of light and shadow, forged by Enki to protect the last fragment of gold. It unleashed a storm that scorched the sky. But it was too late. The city fell. The vault collapsed. The gold was lost again. Enlil never returned to Nibiru. He walks the earth still, in many forms, a general, a scholar, a billionaire. He still searches for the gold and turning nations against other to find it. The Anunnaki watch from afar, silent and waiting. And the gold? It lies in the ambition of empires, the dreams of inventors, the hearts of poets. Enki gave it to us not as a gift, but as a test. Rome rose and fell chasing it. What empire will be next?